All right, so we're here with Simone Puorto. Am I saying it correctly?
That is correct. Yes.
Excellent. All right, I'm glad I didn't butcher that. All right, so to jump right in the last 24 hours, what cool thing have you done with AI?
Quite a lot actually, because I'm working pretty much on 20 different AI projects right now. The last 18 months, it's been pretty much all of the requests I had from clients and new clients is all about some level of AI implementation.
Mm.
So it's over the last, what you said again, 24 hours?
Yeah, 24 hours, but you can expand. I'll give you a week, right? However amount of time.
Look, there is one big project I'm working right now, and this is about creating digital workers for a beautiful hotel in the Sardinian desert in Italy.
Nice.
And basically, the main idea is, as you know, a lot of these beautiful properties are very seasonal, right? So
Yeah.
it's like they're open for 6 months. Usually, they're closed for 6 months or something like that, right? And the problem you have is that you always need to keep some level of staff, of human staff, even during the months where the property is closed, and it's very hard to keep good human labor, right? So it's always problematic. So basically what we've been working on is creating some digital workers, mainly for the front office,
Mhm.
picking up the phone and replying to emails and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool project. So that is taking quite a lot of my time recently, and I'm working. I'm actually working on another project right now. It's basically we're training an AI web developer for another client of mine. That is basically we want to have a little more like scientific approach in creating the new website. So this will be like a creative AI director
Yeah.
of the new website. So it's way easier project, but it's a lot of fun because it came up with some ideas that we never thought about actually,
Mm.
and so yeah, quite a lot of stuff.
Brilliant. And I really like that. It's genuinely quite diverse in terms of is that everything with Travel Singularity, or do you have multiple different uh, businesses you work
Basic, Basically, I got three main companies. The first one is Travel Singularity, but Travel Singularity started many years ago, and this was a consulting firm for everything digital. And of course, we always had a very solid understanding of tech, so that was always the case. But again, as I told you, over the last couple of years, like the majority of the requests we get are somehow AI related or
with?
at least automation related. So at some point I said, look, I just want to make sure that this is, I got a consulting firm doing that and the consulting firm doing that other thing. So I created another one. It's called a Ledger. And
Yeah.
it's actually it's going to be official in a few weeks. It's not even official now, but it's like it's we had to come up with a different brand. And on top of that, I have a third one, and that's just a simple startup. Basically, it's what you would call a GPT wrapper. So it's
Mm.
basically it's a multi-model system that automatically replies to reviews online. Okay, so
Okay.
it's trained on your tone of voice, and it's basically automatically replies to reviews online, mainly for the hospitality and food industries.
Yeah, that's definitely very needed. I mean, you get hundreds of reviews. You just need someone just sitting there and replying all day. Um, but
I would
brilliant.
say even more so because now what we're seeing, and this is an interesting, the other side of the story is because now it's so easy not only to reply to reviews with AI, but it's so easy to write reviews with AI. Now we're seeing a huge increase of reviews. Okay,
Mm.
and yes, so the time spent just replying to reviews online, it's massive.
I'm actually quite interested there. So, considering that there's such a massive spike in reviews, would they be bot reviews, and would they be mainly like from competitors saying negative stuff, or is there a
Uh,
mix?
So, over time, and every industry is slightly different when it comes to what are the main platforms where you get reviews, right? But
Mm.
especially when it comes to restaurants, for example, and to a certain extent also hotels, Google is a big part of that,
Yeah.
right? And they are very strict with fake reviews,
Mm.
very strict. So this is something that we saw in the past. I've been in this industry for 26 years now, and
Yeah.
like 15 years ago, we had a ton of these fake reviews coming
Yeah,
from competitors. We actually had agencies selling bunch of negative reviews for your
yeah,
competitors. I remember that time. Now it's a little better. I wouldn't say that the problem is solved, but you can argue that with a certain degree of certainty that the review you see online is actually written by it's legit. Let's put it like
yeah.
that. That it could be written by an AI, but that's not even the problem. But it's
But it's the
legit. It's
person
some
posting, and it's
yeah.
actually, yeah, they actually. Okay, okay, fair. Um, right, and then you mentioned the third company as well. So you have Allegia, you have Travel Singularity, and
Yeah, and the third one is this one, review. A review
oh,
is the
with the
one
review. Okay, yeah,
reply. It's basically review is reviews in Japanese. That's
reviews.
it.
Ah, fair enough. All right. Um, all right. So out of all these case studies that you're seeing, and because it's a I mean, you're working with founders, but you're also working with the ground team implementing this so they know how to use it. What do you see as the biggest misconception about these tools that you're putting in that people have, right? Whether it's the founders themselves thinking, oh, this is going to solve everything and I'm never going to have to work again, to the ground people going, is this going to take my job tomorrow? What's the biggest misconception out of them?
I would say that your phrasing is pretty much correct, because like look, when you talk to, let's say you're working on a new project, right? And usually you have two very different conversations with the executives and the operational people. And of course, and it kind of makes sense, when you're talking to the executives, it's a lot about cutting costs, of course. And when it comes to operation, of course, when you see, especially for some jobs like, I don't know, yield management, revenue management, that kind of stuff, when you see basically a system that can do your job at a fraction of the time with an incredible accuracy, of course you're scared. It's part of who we are. And I think a lot of companies are selling this fake narrative that AI is not going to replace jobs. It is going to replace jobs. It's inevitable, right? But yeah, it's interesting because you always have like a very different conversation
Yeah.
between the people working in these industries. Um, I would say that the main misconception is, again, as you said, you got people that will think that AI will magically solve their lives,
Yeah.
uh, and to a certain extent, it could. But the problem with AI, especially when you're talking to industries with quite a lot of existing tech stack, is that to a certain extent it needs to connect to your existing tech stack, and
Yeah.
this is where the problem starts, right? Again, I work mainly on the hospitality space, and when it comes to hospitality, it's pretty common that an average hotel will have 25 different software in place,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these software are a legacy software created back in the
Mm.
90s, or sometime even in the 80s, and good luck with some level of AI in
Yeah.
implementation there, right? So I would say that one of the main misconceptions is that we talk a lot about AI, but we do not talk enough about the infrastructure we do need to do
Mm.
anything, right?
Yeah.
And so this creates this crazy dualistic view when you have somebody that will think AI will solve all the problems, and when they understand that the AI will not be able to solve all the problems, because in order to do that you need to change the existing tech stack. For them, it's very hard to grasp the responsibility. So I've seen
Mm.
many entrepreneurs that started implementing some level of AI or some level of
Yeah.
RPA of automation, whatever, and they just stopped, and they think the problem is that AI is not ready yet. While
Yeah.
I would say the problem is more that the existing tech stack is not ready yet.
Yeah.
So I would say we need to think a little less about AI. We need to think a little more about tech stack integration.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair. Fair. And then uh because you're mainly in the hospitality business, what kind of tools are you mainly using to build, like, do you build everything custom, or are you mainly focused on basing things off of the GPTs or Claude or Perplexity?
So it's a mix. Let's say that sometime you have, the second company that I'm running, this Elegia. It's basically it's like an orchestrator, right? So you
Mm.
come to me and you say, look, we want to automate that, or even more like, look, we don't know anything about AI. Just take a
Yeah.
look and tell me if we can do anything. And in some cases there will probably be some plug and play solutions just out of the box that we can use. If it's something simple like I don't know, just like a tool to automatically reply to your emails, that's
Yeah.
pretty easy. There are 1,000 different platforms in the market. You don't even have to redevelop that. In some cases, especially when it gets a little more complicated, again, this digital worker example, I think it's pretty fitting. You have a mix of the two, so you got
Mm.
some existing technology, and on top of that, you do have something you develop from scratch, and usually it's multimodal. Depending on the infrastructure they're using or where they want to go, or even the country where you're operating. Of course, developing something for American customer is not like developing something for an Asian customer, so it
Sure.
does change quite a lot. It's a healthy mix, let's put it like that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. Fair. Okay. And how do you, I mean, how do you yourself stay organized with all of this information? You have, as you mentioned, like I can't even imagine 20 different projects at the same time. It's going to be bizarre in your head. You have to kind of dump it out somewhere. Don't tell me you're using, Google Sheets or notebooks, are you?
So believe it or not, I don't think the main thing to me is that this is something that I realized not a long time ago, but when I did, it really changed my life. And that is, you need to trust the science, and that science says that we are not made to multitask.
Mm,
Basically, you can do one freaking thing at a time. So basically, the way I work is, let's say I need to work on 3 projects on a day. I try to divide the time, but I do not work on anything else. I do
yeah.
not read emails. I do not pick up my phone. And it's for a lot of clients. Is at first it's irritating, but then they understand. Because if I can focus for 4 hours straight on something without any intrusion from the outside,
Mm,
I would probably get the job done. So how do you do it with the tools you do? Again, that's not always the same, because for example, I work with a lot of clients with time management tools, for example,
yeah.
or stuff like Asana or Trello, whatever. So I work with like probably half a dozen of these systems. So
Yeah.
it's not like you can come up with something that is perfect for you, because now maybe a specific client will have a different stack. So you need to work with what you have. But again, really the real click to me was not technological. It was just
Mental.
understanding that I
Yeah.
cannot I cannot really multitask. I need to do one thing at a time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm wondering what it's like to have, you know, the lack of ADHD, where you're being able to sit down and 4 hours straight just do this, right? Like that kind of hyper focus. As some of us go through, but that's brilliant, and that you can block it out in 3 times. I'm guessing you do get coffee breaks though. You allow yourself that at least, or is it 4 hours of just nothing else?
No, because again, and I think I don't know. I never got a diagnosis, but probably if I go, I will get one. But it's look, if I'm in the zone and I know I need to do that, that's it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can call me. Probably I will not even hear you if you talk
Register,
to me.
yeah.
So I'm in this crazy bubble, this crazy zone, and the way I do it is usually I put an alarm clock. So I say,
Mm,
look, I want to work on this for 4 hours, and it's usually just I'm in front of the screen, and the alarm clock will go on and say, wow, it's already 4 hours. And
yeah,
then maybe there will be like a coffee
yeah.
break. But yeah, again, I got distracted very easily. It's also my problem. So if I
Mm.
start doing something and we start talking, that's not going to fly. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah. So you've
yeah.
trained yourself to just not do that, and yeah,
Look, I'm a horrible at working in like office dynamics.
mm,
So
mm,
like even when I was working in corporate, I remember that I was smart working before it was cool. We're talking
yeah,
probably 2010, but probably half the week. So I said, look, I come maybe 3 days in the office to do stuff that it's reactive, talk to the people and
mm,
so forth. But if I need to do a real job, I need to be at my place with no distraction. Just
yeah,
so that's it. Everybody's different, but that's my
yeah.
problem.
No, it's too easy to just go by the water cooler or in the kitchen and just have a chat there. Someone says, "Oh, let's go out for a walk. Let's do something." No work actually gets done in the office. Like I'm fully agreed with you. I prefer my home office.
There's also something else, I think, and that's not only that. It's also somebody says something interesting,
Mm.
and now you want to follow that idea. But
Ah,
now,
yes.
if you start following that idea, you will stop the other one. So you need to have. I think you need to have a little time to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
But it cannot be when you're trying to finish your work.
Yeah.
So I think a good, the way I do it now, like once a week, I co-work somewhere.
Mm.
So you can see people and talk to clients and whatever. You are not in your apartment like a lunatic, and but it's once a week. Okay, I
Yeah.
cannot do it more than that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Otherwise, you just don't work. Yeah, absolutely.
Or like you got a day like Monday for me is usually the day I take calls. Okay, so
Mm.
it's like no work is getting done that day. It's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
but for the clients that's the most important day of the week
Yeah.
because they can't talk to me, right? But again, you need to balance it out, otherwise it's very hard to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair, fair. And so now I'm guessing uh during these, and we're straining away from AI, but you can tell me how you use that to help you as well. Um During these 4 hour blocks, and like there's a lot of mental activity going on there where you're kind of getting you're overheating in a way of trying to come up with new ideas and creative ways, and how can we solve this problem, and it's always problem solving, right?
Yes.
It's quite natural that there's something like blockages that happen. You hit a wall, you hit something, you hit a setback that says, oh, this won't work that way. How do you handle that, right? Do you find a way to just go normal, go ahead, or do
Yeah,
you
it's
push
part of
through?
the
Yeah,
part of the problem. It's part of the process. You
yeah,
will hit a block at some point. That's fine.
yeah.
Like to me, the main look, the more frustrating part, the most frustrating part for me is writing. I do a lot of
Mm,
writing, like academic writing, or even like a lot of ghost writing, and you always got and you talk to other people writing, and they tell me about writer's block that I do understand.
yeah,
It's but how do you fight that? You just need to write. So
yeah,
that's it. So my even when I write, this is something that I learned from novelist. It's basically it's you sit down and you write. Just
mm,
it could be 1,000 words a day. Like that's
yeah,
usually what I'm when I write it, this is what I try to do. And maybe the day after you need to scrap everything out because it's total crap.
yeah.
Still, you wrote the
You
1,000
read,
words.
yeah.
So you will never see me not doing something. And if you fail, that's part of the thing,
That's a
believe me.
very healthy attitude. I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
but hey, it took me many years to get that. I used to be more and more frustrated with with that.
Oh, hey again. Apologies for this. Yeah, seems to have
No
dropped as
problem.
well.
No problem at all. It's your you can edit it
Yeah,
later
yeah.
on.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it.
So, well, before you start again, let me take a copy of my book so maybe you can show it, but I don't remember where it is. Just give me one sec.
Go for it. Go for it.
Here it is. So, if at the end, if you want to show the cover, it's here.
No worries. Yeah. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead. Now, give me a second here. Just double check that everything can continue. Okay. All right. So we'll start again from here, and the last question.
It was you said something like it's a healthy
How do you
way of
fight?
coping that, and
Yes.
it's and I said, look, it took me quite a long time to get to
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, I really like the idea of every day, like no matter what, if you have to write, you write 1,000 words. It's like the Stephen King. That's how I think he writes his books, right? It's not There's no such thing as writer block for him. He wants to write 50 novels a year. He's gonna write 50 novels a year. It's insane.
I did a master class a few years ago with Neil Gaiman,
Wow.
and it was amazing. And one thing that I learned is this thing he calls a compost heap. So
Mm,
basically, it's like it's a document. It could be like a notebook or a Google Sheet file, whatever. It's where you got when you write stuff down. You have an idea in the middle, like when you're on the treadmill. You got an idea, you write
yeah,
it down, and you got it there. At some point, you have like a long list of interesting things, and some of them are just stupid, ideas you get when you're
yeah,
drunk at 2 a.m. So, but it's some of them are good, and so usually when I really don't have anything, I
yeah,
just open that and I know
yeah,
that there is going to be something there. So I don't think, as a writer, I don't think there is a such thing as a bad day if you do the work.
mm, mm. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And all right, kind of to sum it up here, with the last question, because you gave a lot of really good tips and how you work. But what kind of one advice would you encompass to be something that you can give to the younger generation, to someone who's just starting in, right? Someone who's maybe just out of college or like exiting school. What should they do? What?
It's always the same, and I do a lot of academic work. I work with kids, mainly MBA, but I do teach at kids like in their teens from time to time, and I love it. And the thing I always say is don't fall in love with ideas. That's the
Mm,
thing. You will need to change your mind so many freaking times you have no idea. So, like, if you really like something but you see it's not working, at some point just let it go. Just change your mind. Or even better, like Marcus Aurelius used to say, we always have the option not to have an opinion. You do not have to
mm.
have an opinion on everything. And if you see the world that way, it's way easier.
I really like that. I really like that. All right, and a perfect way to end with an Italian quote, with a Roman quote.
Well, it's actually a Roman quote. I
Roman,
wish it
yeah,
was.
exactly, yeah. But we'll
Even
take it
better.
in.
Even better. I'm Roman, so.
There we go. Yeah, official descendant. So brilliant. All right. So I want to thank you so much, Simone, for being here, and I'm going to let you tell the audience in 2 minutes what they should do, how they should follow you, and find you, and what to do
Yeah,
next.
so basically, probably the main point is always LinkedIn. You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, and I do have a newsletter every Friday with what is happening, especially in the tech world. So that's probably the best way to get in touch with me. And right now, I'm working on translating my latest book. Just came out last year in Italian, so the English version is 75% updated and translated. So I hope this will be out somewhere in Q1 in 2026.
Fantastic. Brilliant. So everyone go get the book. And